raised in Utica, New York. I had no mother growing up. My mother is in a mental institution, or she has mental problems. But she's a very beautiful woman. And my father was a very handsome guy, but his life was plagued with alcohol and drug abuse. So how they conceived me, as my father told me one time, by accident. This is why today I can't stand alcohol. I never did a drug in my life, and I've never been drunk in my life. My father wasn't a stupid man. He had some education behind him, but the alcohol and the drugs got the better. Part of the reason, I think, is some kind of spirit I was born with. And the other part is my environment that I was exposed to. It either was going to have two outcomes. I was going to absorb the environment and say, yeah, this is how I should be, or I could have, I rejected it. Something in me rejected it. You're going to have problems with most of the people because they're going to think you're a sellout, you don't love your people, what's wrong with you, you think you're white, you talk white, and all this stuff I went through. I even got in a couple of fights as a kid because I entertained the idea of supporting Ronald Reagan. And it was a big problem, so I kept my mouth shut. Most minority people in this country in poor neighborhoods are Democratic to the core. I was also as a young man because I only knew what people told me. Then when I started to educate myself and read books, I found the Democratic Party was totally contrary to what was to improve the lives of the people that they say they care so much about. No, they have not endorsed me. I'm in a primary right now. And it was kind of split. But my candidate received what they call a proxy vote. That's people who don't show up and they give their vote to somebody else to cast for them. And I've been finding that people signing my petition said we didn't know who you were. And if we knew, we would have not handed our proxy vote to the other guy. Okay, I'm the first American with so-called African or Hebrew descent to run for the seat. I never been to Africa, and so I never put another adjective in front of my own country, like a lot of people in this country do. They say I'm Italian-American, I'm Irish-American, and I used to say I'm African-American, but when I lived overseas, I realized that people overseas don't care about putting an adjective in front of your own country. Just know, are you American? Yes, that's good enough. They don't know about this app. That's our thing. And it shocked me when I left the country to see that we're the only country. Our country people are the ones separating like this. I'm Irish American, I'm Italian American, I'm African American. But when I was overseas, people say to me, where are you from? America. It's okay. The rest of it don't matter. You're American. And I started changing. I won't do it anymore. So I say I'm an American with African, Irish, and maybe some Hebrew descent. I don't distance myself from an experience that I can't distance myself from. I've been through it. I've been shot, I've been stabbed, no mother, no father, drug abuse all around me. I've been through the black experience. I don't allow that experience to hold me back. That's the difference. I don't point my finger as I used to at everybody else and blame them for the reason why I can't make it. Blame white people, blame society, blame, blame, blame. I stopped the victimization attitude and I stopped the blame game, and I said that even though racism is prevalent in our society, bigotry, all of it is there. What does that have to do with you getting a grade? Nothing. Because if the society is racist, or you got some people who are racist, the book is not racist. Algebra is not racist. Writing is not racist. The library is not racist. The pen and pencil is not racist. The paper. So what's stopping you from getting your grade? It's not racism. That's you. You got to put the effort in it. You got to want it. You got to stop blaming and say, you know what? I'm going to move forward. It's over there. I want to get to over there. I got to go chase it. I got to go fight for it. Nobody's going to give you nothing. You're not entitled to anything, and nobody's going to give you nothing. You got to earn it. As a legislator, I feel that We have two jobs. One is to fight for our principles, and sometimes we have to compromise to get things done. I plan on, after being elected, is always have town hall meetings twice a month, because people got to be able to voice what they want me to do. Here is the issue. I'm bringing it to you. Come to the town hall meeting and voice how you want me to vote. I support their position on legal immigration, and I support their position on stopping people from coming here who come into the country illegally. I don't care what color you are. You have to do it the right way, because it doesn't make it fair for the people who do it the right way. It's not a right that you become American citizen. It's a privilege to become American citizen. We don't owe you citizenship. Citizenship, according to the Constitution, is for citizens. Because the majority of them are snakeheads that the cartel is using to come across the border. I saw on one TV show this morning, 40 illegal immigrants were found in a house, and all of them were sent here by the cartel, and they had to pay $9,000 each. So when they get here, they have to work it off and send it back to the cartel. The cartel is trafficking children on the border. The problem that they had between the parents and the kids being separate, what the liberal media never tells you about, is that many of those parents are not the original parents of those kids. They were given those kids in their countries and told by the cartels, bring this kid across the border. And when you bring them across the border, they'll be picked up by another set of people. And that's why it took so long for the parents to be reunited with the kids, because they wanted to make sure that the kid was going to the parent, the actual parent, because they found a huge amount of kids and the parents, that's not their parents. The process started under Obama. Everybody keeps forgetting that this kid problem, separating kids, that was already happening in the Obama administration. Remember the picture they showed of all those kids laying around on the floor when Obama was president? That was the same thing. The only difference is Trump is president and they blame him for it. But it's the same thing happening under the Obama administration. But they don't blame Obama because he's the Democratic president. And I love my brother. I voted for him twice as a Republican. First, I think a lot of it is in Albany. There's a lot of money being given out in Albany, and it comes up here. They're building a hospital that costs $340, almost $400 million. They're trying to build. That come from New York. The governor, Cuomo. They're passing out money that don't belong to them, but they pass it out, and then they want to build a garage here in this district. Talking about the 119, right down the street here. They want to build a garage for $43 million. And guess who they want to pay for it over 25 years? The working class people, the poor people. They want us to pay for a project that will not benefit anyone except for the people who control the tolls coming in and out of the parking garage. And that's a private company. So why making us pay for something we don't need? This is what I'm fighting against. I'm sick and tired of money being spent for all these projects, and yet the community that needs it the most have nothing. They have no community action, but they build basketball courts. Oh yeah, they're very good at building basketball courts. And our community leaders, I love our elder brothers, and I won't speak ill of them, but I have many talks with them, and I said to them, we will never be able to get out of poverty if we keep building basketball courts. They don't recognize me for nothing. The NAACP, and I know who the chapter head is. He's a very nice person. The other black organizations, they won't recognize me. I came from the same community. I went through the same hardship, and I overcame. Long before they knew I was some Republican, or before I even opened my mouth to them about Republican. But now they see I'm a Republican. They don't want to use me as an example for those kids. I can talk about getting your education and how I did it, and how it was a struggle, but I did it. You think they would use me for that? No. They want to use the other black men to have PPTs to talk about racism all day long. And I'm sick of it. Well, that's one part of the story. But there's another part. Racism is there. I don't deny it. I went through it. I still go through it today. So it's there. Even with the people with the party I affiliate with, it's racism there. Stereotyping. But I can't let that hold me back. I have to try to bridge the gap somehow with Republicans and blacks and say, hey, I'm here, they supported me, I'm from your loins, I'm here now. How about we use me as an example that we can both look at each other's platform and try to find a common solution? Because what would be one of the greatest things in this area is to have a minority, male or female, in a high position that it can finally be, it can show that this area is trying to break some of the racial tensions in the area. Me winning this position is not a small thing, it's a big deal. And I want to use this as a positive thing to say, you know what, I don't agree with all Democratic policy, but I'm willing to work with them on any policy that has proven results. When I ran for Common Council, I ran when Trump was at his highest as president, and I received 38% of the vote in Cornhill, which is a 99% Democratic neighborhood. I ran, I talked to the people, and I knocked on their doors. In order to receive 38%, that means blacks came out to vote for me. And they told me, I'm a Democrat, I've always been a Democrat, but we need something new. And they said, I don't care about Republican or Democrat. Most of the people told me they're sick of the Democratic Party because they see that they have done nothing for them. I think as an American who wants to unite people in this country and in our district, we should see ourselves as Americans first.